how can I make money fast? I didn't know about land back then, but I was like, well, people still go through foreclosures. Basically, it means that they weren't paying their mortgage. And I went and door knocked on those houses where these people haven't paid for months at a time. They thought I was a bank, so they'd come out with like shotguns and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not with a bank. I'm a cash buyer. I want to buy your house. Would you be open to selling it? Nope. And I would take off. I'm like, all right, thanks for your time. Then I got to where my knocks got quieter and quieter. And then I was like, screw this. I'm not even going to knock. I'm just going to leave a sticky note.
In today's episode, we uncover how a land investor learned to operate his investing like a business with systems, automation, and a team of VAs to create a business that truly serves his life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Freedom Blueprint. I'm Adrienne Green, and today we're with Brent Bowers. Get ready for insights to help you scale, systemize, and create more freedom. Let's jump in. So thank you so much for being here with me today, Brent.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And for those who may not be familiar with your work, can you share a quick snapshot of your real estate journey, what your business looks like today, and how you landed on land investing as your focus?
Yes. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I started in 2007. I got my real estate license. I always wanted to be in real estate and bought that first rental property, held it through 2008, 2009. Then joined the Army in 2009 because real estate investing was so hard for me at that point, which I kind of wish I would have just kept chugging along. But I took a little break, a couple deployments to Afghanistan, stationed in Germany, come back to the United States in 2013. I bought another rental in 2014. And then 2015, me and my wife had our first baby. And I'm like, okay, I need to get out of the military. I need to be home more often. I'm preparing for my third combat deployment, but I never can leave because these rentals are actually costing me money. I had like 6 at the time. And I was like, well, what are other people's doing? So I was kind of wholesaling houses. I made some quick bucks doing that, like to pay for college courses. But then I heard a podcast just very similar to this. And a guy was on there talking about flipping vacant raw land and like doubling his money overnight. And I was like, okay, if half of what he's saying is true, I'm doing this. So I took action that night and started mailing people on the tax delinquent list.
Wow. So that's what drew you to land investment as a strategy then, is that you weren't making money, you weren't cash flowing, we should say, in these other strategies, and you needed a cash flow, and it looked like land investing would get you there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't know the answer at the time. And yeah, you're right. I was making a couple $100 a month over the mortgage payment. Some of these houses were vacant because I had just evicted someone. But if you're getting like $200-300 a month extra on top of your mortgage, so if my mortgage is $750 and I'm getting $1,000, well, there's a water heater that breaks every couple years, and then the air conditioner breaks, and the roof leaks, and the septic system goes out. Before you know it, it's like, oh, I won't make any money for the next 13 years on this house, just with these repairs I just made. But land, I was listening to this guy. He's like buying these parcels for a couple hundred and selling them for $1,000, and I was like, that's the answer I need right there. Like I was making probably like 60 grand a year in the military, and I'm working like 80 hours a week, deployment gone. Like basically when you're deployed, you're working 24/7. You get a couple hours of sleep and you're back at it. So I mailed the tax delinquent list of people that own land. I sent them a nice little postcard. It was handwritten, black and white, nothing fancy. I call it the tribe postcard. Anybody can get a copy of that if they go to thelandsharks.com/postcard. I bought a lot of properties with it, houses and land. But it just simply said, hey, my name is Brent. I'd like to buy your land. If you're interested in an all cash, fair price offer, call me or text me. And my phone started ringing. It was actually ringing. And I bought the first parcel of land for $285. I was scared to death, by the way. Had no clue what I was doing. Had no idea how to comp it. And ended up selling it like a few days later. So it was Saturday when I looked at it. I sold it on Wednesday for $5,000.
Awesome. I'm sure that got you hooked.
I thought I'd won the lottery, honestly. I didn't make $5,000 in a month's worth of work. And here I had like a few days into this and I was pretty hooked. So I actually hired a VA. I know you help people with VAs. Hired one right off of Upwork to help me scrub my next list. Because I thought, I'd already mailed it. I can't mail it again, right? Wrong. So I got another tax delinquent list and we had to scan these things. Like they would fax them to me. This is back in 2015. So things have come a long way since then. I've changed the strategy completely since then. but they would scan these things in and it'd be nothing but schedule numbers, just hard to read. My poor VA, her name was Joanne. I still work with her today for $5 an hour. She's in the Philippines. She's working all night, my night, her day. And like it took her weeks to get this like 600 pages into basically what come out to be about 600 parcels of land. And then I could mail those. So thank God for a virtual assistant.
Well, and that's what I was going to wonder. So you started off like most real estate investors do. You have to put in the labor, right? It's starting off like brute force, let's say. And I'm curious, as you continue to evolve this, you told us a little bit about that first stage of evolution. What systems or processes made it scalable for you over time?
Yeah, over time, now I use a program. I call it my CRM. First, I pull the data directly from a data source. I no longer am, I don't care if it's tax delinquent or if it's probate or inheritance. So let me back up a little bit on the whole system and I'll kind of walk everyone through it. I have a rule like, what can I delete? What can I automate? And then what can I delegate if I can't automate it or delete it? Like, do I actually need the processes? Because I think complexity kills businesses and so easy to get complexity. So a lot of times, like today on my accounting call for the last hour and 15 minutes, we were trying to figure out how we can make things easier, like one system, one program that handles all of it. So rather than having like 15 different programs. So I start with going to a free site called Redfin. I want to see where the land is selling, because I don't want to recreate the, honestly, I don't want to try and go and create demand for somebody. I want to just fill demand. So once I figure that out, I then go and pull a list from this software program that we use. It's called the landsharksdata.com, but you could pull data for like $25 a month. So I could pull a bunch of landowners in this area that I just saw demand. How did I know there was demand? Because there was a lot of land selling in this area. So that tells me people are buying. And then once I pull the data, I upload it into the landsharks.com/CRM. It's my CRM. It mails these people. They can call me back on the phone number that it puts on there for me. It tracks everybody exactly where they're at in the process, how much we can pay. It's got maps. And then when I get the land under contract, which I send offer letters, and then they come back in my email, I send offer letters to every landowner in that area. And if they accept it, I'm going to make profit. Now, they don't always accept it. It's really a numbers game. Like, it's like my wife. I had to ask her out multiple times, and then I had to go out with her multiple times for her to eventually marry me. So really, it was just a numbers game. And then there was a lot of follow-up in that numbers game. It's basically, I was just saying, just look at it as if you're dating. That's all we're doing with landowners. We're buying their land. It's a dating process, and the marriage is a closing, basically. Then you never have to see each other again. But that's kind of the
That's a little
process.
different than marriage.
That's how my marriage was. My first marriage was in the Army, actually. You're gone for a year at a time. It's weird. It's very weird marriage.
Very true. Well, and that brings me, you were really serving full time in the Army while you started this and were scaling. We've spoken a little bit about like structures and systems, but when you were in the depths of that in the Army, what really was your saving grace to help you keep this going with very limited time?
Yeah. Well, one was definitely having Joanna as my virtual assistant. And then I hired a partner right there in Colorado Springs where I was doing most of the land deals and I did a little household selling at the same time, but the land is really what was most profitable for me. In business, we think we should do everything, but really we should just focus on what's making us money and cancel everything else. But I didn't know that at the time. I was like, I'll take anything and everything we can. I hired someone to help me answer the phone calls because if I'm out training in the field, we're not allowed to have cell phones. So those calls were getting missed. Those marketing dollars were getting wasted. So it was having an assistant or a partner or a person, and I would pay her on every one of these that she would close. She would get a percentage of profit. I just made sure the phone kept ringing, and she was really good at sales. So I really didn't have all the skills, nor did I have all the ability. I just found other people to help me kind of plug and play and get my vision out. And I shared the vision with that person. And I shared the vision with Joanna, my first virtual assistant. And it was just having those processes. Now it's crazy. I have an office manager that pretty much runs the company. We just had her go through her last 7 days of tasks and things she's been doing, which was a pain in the butt for her to keep track of it. But we uploaded it all into ChatGPT, and it's telling us ways that we can eliminate, delegate things that she doesn't like doing, automate. and it's recommending us hire her an assistant,
Uh-huh.
basically, with everything she was doing.
Yes. I love so much of what you're saying. First, every time I call a service provider here in the US, let's say contractor, plumber, etc., and they don't answer and you don't get calls back on the voicemail, I'm like, that is money
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just falling through their fingers. And I'm like, they could hire a VA for so cheap to just answer those phones 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then I love how you're using
Or return
ChatGPT,
calls.
like, or
Yeah.
return calls, yes. And the ChatGPT thing, I think that's being underutilized by real estate investors. So I love that you're calling out how you're using it. And then third, often our office managers or our assistants need an assistant to do their bottom 80% routine tasks so they can really do their top 20 well as well. And it's so affordable and people don't even think about it. So I love so much of what you're sharing there.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's amazing. Like, if you're listening to this podcast and you're using ChatGPT as just a search method, you're missing out. Like, I have a mobile home park, and I just bought it several months ago. I'm stabilizing it, and I got a sweet property manager that's still collecting cash. And I'm just like, we've got to fix some things. And she tells me how much she collects, and then what they spent and what I get to keep. And I'm just like, okay, I want to know by the unit, what's coming in, what's going out, how much electricity they're burning, how much water, how much did we bill back, da, 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 da. So I'm like telling ChatGPT all this as if I'm talking to the property manager. I was like, please build me a Google Sheet to where all they got to do is plug and play. And it built it, and it's like, do you want me to give video instructions or instructions on how to use the sheet? And I was like, heck yes. That was the next thing I was actually going to ask for. And you got to tell the ChatGPT, you got to tell the AI when they're doing a good job, and when they're not, you threaten them with violence or tell them I'm going to kick you to Pluto. And it's funny, they understand that. Like, and I say
Hmm.
please and thank you. I used to just talk to it like it was just you know, a machine that it is. But I've learned that like you just talk to it in ways, and it's so amazing what you can accomplish with this. And ask the Chat GPT how to interview you to know more about your business and your goals. Like, my Chat GPT knows all about my office manager, what we do in the land sharks, how we train people on how to buy their first land, and how they basically make money in the first 90 days. Like, it knows all of it. And it's so funny. It always references back to that.
I love it. I love that. Yes. So lots of inspiration for our listeners here. Is there more? I know I love how you're really big on the tech, on the automation. Is there any other specific tools or automations that really anchor your workflows with your system today?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest ones are the CRM, the landsharks.com/CRM. That's really for land investors. I don't know if that would benefit people unless they're like buying houses. Yeah, so that's probably one of my number one resources we use for my land business. And then the data too. Like, I like to use data tree data. It's the best quality data we can get. And, $25 a month is a darn steal for it. And then I can skip trace like other buyers, like, okay, I don't want to buy this parcel of land. It's too much, or I don't have enough money, or I don't have a lender for it. So why do I need to even worry about buying it? I can just go on that data and see who's bought land deals for cash in the last 6 months in an LLC name. Why would they be buying an LLC name? Probably because they're going to build on it. And if they're buying it already to build, they're probably going to want to buy more here really soon. So I just call those people like, hey, I noticed you bought some land on, Parker Street. I got one 2 lanes over or 2 roads over, same size. Would you be open to looking at it? I've got it under contract. I'm going to sign my contract. That's what we call wholesaling land. And it's all with a couple systems. I mentioned Redfin, my data service, the landsharksdata.com, and then the CRM. Really, you can
Hmm.
run an entire business that way. It's about just
Right.
connecting land buyers with land sellers. That's
Right.
my business anyways.
Well, I love how you are several times already. We're 14 minutes in. Several times you've mentioned data, which I
Yeah.
love because that's really what allows you to make informed decisions, right? Whether it's like you were saying, you're getting data for potential buyers for wholesaling, whether it's you're getting the data and the numbers on the income and expenses for that mobile home park, whether it's, KPIs or that key performance indicators for systems you've put in place, the importance of that data. Now, have you always been big on all that data, or is that something you learned over time?
Well, since about 2015, well, when I was doing house wholesaling, I still had to see the data. In college, I kind of left this part out. The Army pulled me out of Afghanistan and sent me to college in 2013. That's the only way I was able to get back to the United States. It's like I left in 2010. I wasn't back for 3 years. And let me tell you, like, that's culture shock. Like, I was in Afghanistan and Germany, like, no one's speaking my language, a little depressed. I'll leave a lot of it out. We can write a book on that. But it was like, how am I going to pay for these courses? Like, I just picked the first college that had ROTC that was closest to home so I can go see my parents. And well, I had a huge problem. That was a private school, and my VA, my GI Bill would only cover so much. I pretty much had to cover the rest of it. So I was like, how can I make money fast? I didn't know about land back then. But I was like, well, people still go through foreclosures. So I used data to figure out who was getting what's called a lis pendens. And basically it means that they weren't paying their mortgage. And I went and door knocked on those houses where these people haven't paid for months at a time. And they thought I was a bank. So they'd come out with like shotguns and stuff like that. And I was like, look, I'm not with a bank. I'm a cash buyer. I want to buy your house. Would you be open to selling it? Nope. And I would take off. I was like, all right, thanks for your time. Then I got to where my knocks got quieter and quieter. And then I was like, screw this. I'm not even going to knock. I'm just going to leave a sticky note. And guess what? Someone answered those sticky notes, and I used data. And then I found out who was buying cash, and I met this guy, and then I met his title agent who bought the second house for me. It was all data. That's it. Like, it's patterns. Success leaves clues.
Right. And another thing I'm hearing here as you shared that story is you were in a tight spot, right? You wanted to go to this college that was going to be close to your parents, and yet you had to make the money work. And so often I feel like in life, we avoid tight spots. We stay where it's easy and we have all the answers. But the trouble is that it's really when we're outside our comfort zone and we've got a big problem to solve that we get creative and we do the hard thing. Like I know for me, when I first started using a virtual assistant, it was because I had moved to a new area. I was restarting my real estate agent business and I had 3 kids. My oldest was born in 2015 as well. So I had 3 kids.
Wow.
Ages 6 and under. And I was like, I need a hustle in my business and I can't be doing the busy work. So I had to get
So true.
uncomfortable and bring on a VA, which I hadn't done before. And it was transformational. And it sounds like here, when you got uncomfortable and you had to make money, to have the life you wanted, you unlocked a new opportunity because of it.
That's so true. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I mean, I look at all these. I mean, I remember we bought a ranch in Colorado. This was like 2018. I had just gotten out of the Army. Someone ripped off my safety bandage. I didn't know if I was going to make it in real estate or not. Luckily, I had like almost 12 grand a month in land payments coming in from, I mean, junk parcels of land, stuff that wasn't buildable, not accessible, landlocked. I was selling this stuff on payments. Like, why would anybody buy this? Because people love to own American land. I'll just leave it at that. So that was my only safety net. And we bought a house, a 4,000 square foot house with a barn, a huge garage, another detached garage on 58 acres in Colorado, like my dream.
Wow.
For $465,000. I just went from making like $4,000 a month to about $12,000 a month in payments. So I lost the $4,000 a month. Now I'm living on $12,000 a month, which is land payments. And I'm like, how am I going to pay for this property? Like, it was so uncomfortable. But you know what? We did it. We still own that house today and that land. And like, it's just another step. It's a mountain we're climbing. And when we get to the top of that mountain, we're like, that wasn't so hard. And you're looking down and it's just, we just adapt to it. It's like if you're riding a bike, or no, let's just say you're walking and you go from walking to riding in a Tesla at 100 miles an hour. That's a huge gap. But you ride in that Tesla for 100 miles an hour for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or maybe an hour. Now you're used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you planning a real estate event, mastermind, or podcast and want a speaker who delivers real, actionable strategies? I teach investors how to run their portfolios like a business without the chaos. Book me for your next event at adriennegreen.com/speaking, and that link is in the show notes as well.
Now, I'd like to circle back to what you kind of were talking about before, how you are very much a who, not how person, right? And hiring a team, it's really a leap for many investors. So as you go through, how do you decide what to delegate? I know you talked a little bit about your framework there. I'd love to hear how you apply it. And then what lessons have you learned about hiring and leadership? I'm sure everybody has some hiring fails, some crazy stories to share. You are a who, not how fan.
I love this book because it's so easy to find on the bookshelf too. But yeah, I mean, it's real easy to be the who, not how when you're me. Like, I don't think I've ever been the smartest guy in the room ever, but I'm really good at like finding the smart people to see a vision. And a lot of times, like the smart people, they don't have huge visions. Like, no offense to anybody smart, actually, but they're really good at like doing one thing. And partner with those people. Okay, so how to delegate, what to delegate. So pretty much I try and delegate everything except for the things I like and the things I can do all day long without taking a break. I'm like talking on podcasts, like this pumps me up. I usually only do one podcast a week now. Somehow or another, I have 5 today. So I'm like kind of freaking out, but we'll see. It's going to be like a marathon, but I haven't had one in several weeks. So I love doing that. I love coaching. I love helping people get their first land deal. But what I don't like was what I just had to do for an hour and 15 minutes. I was on an accounting call and I paid these people a lot of money. They're trying to figure out, because I have a lot of land payments we receive, and then we have partners we pay, and it's just such a mess on a spreadsheet. We just hired this new company to put it all in one software program, but that drives me nuts. Like I was trying to explain how that thing worked and how we pay commissions and how much we get charged for Stripe fees and credit card. And I was like, guys, I know what's going on and I'm confused trying to tell you. That is, my battery went from like 100% to about 49. Now I'm charged back up. But so what did I hire out first? The things I didn't like doing. That's real easy. I think that like we're good at what we do. We should do what we do best and have other people help us out with the rest, or contract out the rest. That's a real simple answer. Other things like mowing my grass. I love mowing the grass though. I love mowing my grass. Love it. I don't do it anymore because it was taking me almost 2 hours a week. And I'm looking at what this guy would charge me to mow my grass, a couple $100 a month, let's just call it $50 a cut. Well, that's $25 an hour. So I know I make more than $25 an hour if I'm doing a land deal.
Right.
Sometimes I make thousands of dollars an hour on a land deal. So why not pay this man $25 an hour? He's going to do a better job than I am anyways on it. And I can enjoy, if I want to still mow the grass, I can go mow my parents' lawn, type thing. So hopefully that explains. And then there's people you need to fire. Like I don't track people's time sheets. I don't care when they're working as long as the job's done. My office manager, her husband's a Delta Airlines pilot. She's always gone somewhere and she's always telling me where she's going. I'm like, I don't care. As long as she show up from time to time on our meetings and as long as everything's taken care of, like, I mean, honestly, I think I make more money on vacation sometimes. So she should go too.
Very nice. Very true. I love that. Now, I know you have a goal to buy back time for your family, right? Obviously, family's a big priority for you, not just to grow your revenue. What boundaries or systems protect that family time now as your business continues to grow?
Real good question. Thank God for my assistant that put boundaries in my calendar, because I was like, my calendar would be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And there was stuff, and I'm putting that word nicely, all over my calendar. My wife gets so mad. Like, all right, they're sitting down for dinner. I'm like, I got to jump on a call. Last night, I actually scheduled an 8:00 call, and I never do that. But I knew I was going to be driving home from Bible study, so I could get away with it. Wife wouldn't know. But my assistant, she blocked my calendar. Nothing before 10 a.m. and nothing after 3 p.m. And those are usually when the kids are home. So now I choose if I want to put something in those times or not. You would think I was a business owner and I'd have control of my calendar, right? And I could put on there what I wanted, but I have this disease that if I don't work 12 hours a day, I don't feel like a real man or a real business owner. So I'm getting over that slowly. It's called workaholic. I used to drink beer every day at 5:00 just to turn it off. I don't do that anymore because I was like, this is very unhealthy. Yeah, because I also turned into an alcoholic doing it. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I got out of the military and I was like, okay, I got to work harder now because what if it was a scarcity mindset, really,
Right.
is all it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you share a lot of wisdom there. That scarcity mindset. I've done the same thing because we travel internationally full time, and so it was like, oh, I have to have my calendar open like a lot because we'd be 12, 13 hours. So it'd be like, okay, well, 5 nights a week, I've got to have my calendar open till pretty late so that people in the U.S. can schedule calls and everything. And now I'm like, you know what? Yes, I do have to have availability in U.S. hours to have calls, and yet I can do it in 3 nights a week instead of 5 and things like that. So I've also found that we can control our calendar more than we think we can originally.
And I wonder if you could do it one night a week and everyone jump on the same 3-hour call, because I bet you're answering the same thing over and over.
I think that there's always opportunities to improve. And I think you bring up another point there. Sometimes it's hard for us to see things in our own world, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
easier to see improvements someone else can make because we're not in the weeds with them, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious with you having a team now, you have your office manager, you've got your VAs. How are you guys able to help each other and give some perspective to things because you're a team rather than just a solopreneur?
Yeah, so Kelly sees things all the time. I ask her, so it used to drive me nuts. Like she'd have like 13 questions for me, and there's still the questions, but I've eliminated a lot of them where just asking her, well, what do you think we should do? That's it. She's smart, she's educated, she's got like a master's degree. I don't. Like she comes up with the solutions, and like a lot of times I'm like, well, what do you think we should do? Like I think it's the most, what do you think we should do? It's like the most powerful 7 words you can say to a team member. I notice I have a business coach that says, well, come to me with 3 solutions and the one you like best. I think that's too much. Like I learned that from
Hmm.
my business coach, and I was just like, well, what do you think we should do? Like that I think is how we encourage our team. We also encourage personal development. Sometimes we have outsiders come in and look, even if they're not in our industry. They're the best. Like the accountant was aggravating me earlier. Like she asked how much I paid for my note collection service. I was like $99, and she's like, she made this face, and it made me mad. And I was like, $99, like that's not a lot. And I charge each buyer $25 note service fee, so we're actually making money on it. And she's like, well, we got this system over here. So she knew a better system, but like her facial expression aggravated me. So sometimes you gonna not like what you hear.
Right.
Young lady, I've been doing real estate longer than you have. But you just got to drop your ego. And the ego is the worst thing when it comes to a team. You just because you're the owner of the company or the boss. Like my kids all ask me all the time, are you the boss? I'm like, no, I don't think I am. Like I don't walk around like the boss. I own the company, but so do the people I work with as well. They have a huge part of it because I couldn't do it without them. One time I had 15 VAs on our land business,
That's a lot.
and I was losing my mind, but no one was in charge of those VAs. They all came to me with 15 different questions all day long. So I was like, I can't do this anymore,
No.
which I needed a person in charge,
Hmm.
like a
Yeah.
squad
Yeah.
leader.
Yeah. I remember when I was an active real estate agent with the team, the coaching advice given to me is that typically you can directly manage about 5 people. And after that, it gets to be too many. And yeah, when you're like, oh my gosh, 15 VAs, I'm like, yeah, you needed a director of operations, somebody to go in and handle that stuff. Because otherwise, even though those VAs are doing a lot of work, you're going to be dragged down into the weeds just doing that 10, 20% that they need from someone else higher up to allow them to do the 80,
Yeah.
90%.
Yeah, it lasted about a year and a half. And then I was like, almost lost my mind one day.
That's a
But
long time. That is really helpful. As we wrap up here, Brent, for investors listening who feel like they're stuck in the operator's seat, you've shared a lot of wisdom about how to build that team, how to get into that visionary role, how to do what you do best. What is one action that you would recommend somebody take this week to move closer to being a business owner rather than an operator?
yeah, that's so good. Okay, that one action, Adrienne, is you should track what you're doing for the next couple days, just in 30-minute sections. And like earlier for me, you could even do it hour long. Like mine was accounting. Now it's podcasting. In about 7 minutes, I'm going to sign for a closing where I'm selling a piece of land, which I've automated that already to my office manager because she's my notary. So she's been signing for me. I hope that's legal. But anyhow, maybe cut that part out. I'm just kidding. But then once you go through that list after like a 5-day period, I want you to take that list, and it doesn't have to be pretty. It could be on a piece of paper. I look at it with my calendar. I go back on my calendar and I'm like, all right, what on here charged my batteries? What gave me excitement? Yeah, podcasting. Heck yeah. Accounting? Heck no. Like that, I was stressing over that last night. I couldn't even sleep last night for it. So that's what I get off my plate. Eventually, I want my office manager completely handling that. Paying bills. I hate paying people. I want that automated if it's monthly, or office manager doing it.
I love that. That's great, doing that time audit. And then, Brent, if people would like to reach out to you, if they'd like to learn more about land investing or the other things that you do, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, thelandsharks.com. You can jump right on my calendar if you want to talk about real estate, land deals. Maybe you're looking at for some little coaching. I do that. I take on 1 or 2 people a month. But yeah, if you're just looking for resources, I'd love to point you in the right direction.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Now, that is a wrap on today's episode of the Freedom Blueprint. If you got value from this conversation, please subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a review. It really does help me out. And then join me again next week for another episode of the Freedom Blueprint.